Well, good afternoon and welcome to Lichtsinn RV, where today we are broadcasting live literally only 1 mile north of the Winnebago factory here in Forest City, Iowa, in our all-new marketing studio here at Lichtsinn RV. I want to welcome all of you to today's live interactive presentation, where today we are the first dealership in North America to unveil to you the all-new 2020 Winnebago Revel here at Lichtsinn RV. I want to welcome all of you to today's live webcast, but also want to thank a few people behind the scenes that really make all of these great interactive presentations possible. I want to welcome our marketing team, Rhonda Gerdes behind the camera today, Hope Litzen, and also Maggie Breister. As with all of our live interactive presentations, of course, we're going to take all of your questions live, and Heidi Thompson is our Vice President and General Manager here at Lichtsinn RV. And as she does with all of our interactive presentations, we'll take your questions live. So today we broadcast from here in Forest City, Iowa, only 1 mile from Winnebago Industries, across 3 different channels. If you're watching on Lichtsinn.com, off to the right you'll see a chat tab in which you can literally just chat your questions in live. We don't require any information to communicate directly to us. If you're watching on YouTube Live, you'll see a super chat icon off to the right where you can chat in any questions. Also, if you're watching on Facebook Live, you'll be able to chat directly into the comments box right below the video player. So be sure to chat your questions in live. Today we're going to take a slightly different approach with the format to today's webcast. One of the things we thought was probably most value added was to cover all of the changes going from the 2018 and 19 Revel to this, the 3rd generation Mercedes Benz VS30 chassis with the 2020 Revel atop that VS30 chassis. So we're going to cover those changes since 2018, 2019, and then of course we'll cover content towards the end. Also keep in mind, we'll have our walk around video live here in the next few days, and all of that great content that Rhonda, Maggie, and Hope provide will be live directly on our website. We've already got the photos up and the video will be live here in a few days. So just a little bit of history as we jump into the Mercedes Benz chassis. This is actually the 3rd generation Mercedes Benz chassis. It debuted in 1995 and the 1st generation went all the way up until 2006. Winnebago Industries was the first RV manufacturer to build atop the Mercedes Benz Sprinter chassis. The 2nd generation then came in 2007 and ran all the way up until 2018. And this is now the 2019 Mercedes Benz VS30 chassis. Another significant change that you're going to see for 2020 is Winnebago has adjusted their allocation method in terms of how they are going to provide the Revel product to certain dealerships throughout North America. And what we mean by that is this is one of the lessons that we've learned in terms of supply and demand. During 2018 and 2019 model years, we really struggled with the supply of 4x4 chassis. And even though we were one of the top dealerships for helping guests with the Winnebago Revel, supply certainly didn't keep up with demand. In fact, there were over, what, Heidi, 100, 120 orders that went unfulfilled by Winnebago Industries at the end of last year. What that also then means is we are just one of a few key dealers that will actually have great supply of the Winnebago Revel for the 2020 model year. In fact, today, I think we helped guests with 2 or 3 of these. We're up to about 30 or so that are pre-sold. So these obviously are here now, and our supply will ramp up really into that June, July, August time frame in terms of availability for the Revel. How am I doing?
Great. It's going great.
Okay, so some things that have changed for 2019 with respect to the chassis year for the 2020 Winnebago Revel in terms of powertrain. So again, keep in mind this is the Sprinter chassis, so it is the commercial segment of Mercedes-Benz. We in the recreational vehicle industry then use this chassis to provide RVs to our guests. Powertrain changes for the VS30 chassis. The most significant change is the move to a 7G Tronic Plus automatic transmission. Otherwise, we still maintain that 325 pounds-feet of torque, 188 horses, with a 3-liter 6-cylinder turbo diesel platform. The 7G-tronic Plus transmission obviously will be a lot smoother. It will be quieter because it'll shift at lower RPM points, but it'll also be more fuel efficient. An estimated range on this will be about 18 miles per gallon highway. So not a lot of changes in terms of the powertrain, but that 7G-tronic Plus transmission will be quieter and more fuel efficient. Consistent with that then, with respect to the transmission, are changes to the warranty. So we still maintain a 3-year 36 on the chassis, 3 years, 36,000 miles, whichever occurs first. But the 5-year 100,000 mile diesel engine warranty has now been extended to that 7G-tronic Plus transmission. Also some great changes for the 2020 Revel with respect to weights. We picked up another 300 pounds of occupant and cargo carrying capacity. This coach that we have is fully optioned out. There are only 3 options to the Winnebago Revel. The first being the exterior graphics delete to provide that stealth automotive look. The second is the all-new Coleman Mach 10 NDQ quieter air conditioner, which this coach has. And then also the performance wheel upgrade. And we're going to talk about each of those 2 changes here in a little bit. But with respect to those 3 options, as equipped, this coach has 1,669 pounds of occupant and cargo carrying capacity, which is about 300 pounds higher than the previous generation. How am I doing now?
You're doing great. I have a lot of questions, but I think I'm going to let you get into the safety changes that have happened,
okay,
and we'll probably tackle some of those questions, and then I'll go back through.
Sounds good. So almost 1,700 pounds of occupants and cargo carrying capacity. Again, 300 pounds more than in previous generations. The gross vehicle weight rating on the coach has now changed to 9,050 pounds, which is where we picked that up. So even though the gross vehicle weight rating is actually 500 pounds, the actual vehicle itself is slightly higher, so that translates into 300 pounds of incremental occupants and cargo carrying capacity. So what people are most excited about with this new VS30 chassis, as Heidi mentioned, are all of the safety enhancements that have been included in this 3rd generation VS30 chassis. And these are the same type of safety enhancements that you see in late model light duty passenger cars and automobiles. And we've now brought those into the RV industry. So the first, and we're going to cover all the safety enhancements in one segment. If you have questions directly on those safety enhancements, chat them in now. The first is active brake assist. Now, active brake assist, a lot of vehicles have, a lot of light duty passenger cars have that. What's unique about this is that Mercedes Benz is the first in terms of an RV provided chassis to include pedestrian alerts and active braking for pedestrians. So what active brake assist does is, in the event that you encroach a vehicle too quickly, or if a pedestrian would jump out in front of you, or even as you're backing up, it'll apply active braking to prevent a collision. Consistent then with the active brake assist, we have active lane keep assist. So literally the cameras on the vehicle are measuring the yellow middle line and the white line off towards the passenger. And most vehicles will give you the alert. It'll either be an audio alert or a video alert. This will actively brake the vehicle and gently nudge you back in between the 2 lanes that it's detecting.
And I think a real improvement in that is just in some vehicles that you're in for cars, I feel like it's so touchy and you don't get close to the line and you have this kind of annoying beep. When we drove yesterday,
yep,
you really, I mean, it's alerting you, you are too far over. So
it's alerting you, but it's also gently bringing you back in, and depending upon your speed, what Heidi and I noticed yesterday as we drove this is it'll actually slow you down at the same time. So it's engaging that active brake system while at the same time keeping you between the lines. So great feature. So active braking, active lane keep assist. Another option, I shouldn't say an option, it's actually standard on the vehicle, but a great new safety enhancement is, it goes by a lot of different names. Mercedes actually calls it distronic lane distance. And in the US, we have kind of come to know this as adaptive cruise control or active cruise control. But literally up front, it is measuring the vehicle in front of you. And you can preset certain lengths that you feel comfortable with in terms of following that vehicle. It will then slow you down to maintain that distance. When that vehicle then changes lanes and the open road is ahead of you, it will then accelerate to bring you back up to your desired cruise control. So adaptive cruise control works great. I always use the analogy, as Heidi and I used this yesterday. When I drive to work in my vehicle, I literally can preset how far I want to trail the vehicle ahead of me, set my cruise, and then I never have to worry about anything. Because just like in my light-duty passenger vehicle with the new VS30 chassis, it's actually going to bring you all the way down to a complete stop. Then, as that vehicle takes back off, it'll accelerate, and there's literally nothing that you have to do. So again, that's adaptive cruise control. You may refer to it as active cruise control. Mercedes-Benz refers to it as distronic, is their acronym for it. So one of the things that you'll use as you are traveling is the cruise control and set with active traffic sign assist. So the cameras in the vehicle are actually reading the street signs. And it'll display on the dash, we'll show you here in a moment, it'll display the cruise control of the area in which you're traveling. Then, as you are traveling and that speed limit changes, you'll receive a soft audible alert, a small flash on the screen, and if your cruise is set higher than that, it'll actually alert you in terms of your speed limit limitations.
And it is right on the money.
It is. It is. Actually, it reads the sign and the speed at which you're traveling at, and if that sign is, say, 40 yards ahead, as soon as it changes, that's when it flips on the dash. So great feature there with active traffic sign assist. So we had this in the last part of the 2019 Winnebago Revel model year on the 18 chassis, but we do still maintain blind spot alerts. Most vehicles have that now. As you're getting ready to change lanes, if there is a vehicle in your blind spot, you'll see the audio and the visual alert inside that side mirror. It'll actually showcase that also if you're at highway speeds and you're passing the vehicle. So it does have blind spot alert. That is going to be unique to the van chassis of the VS30 chassis. When we begin to get our views and Navions in, we'll cover that difference between those. What is unique about the blind spot package that Mercedes-Benz uses is that it actually has rear cross traffic alerts. And what that means is as you're backing the vehicle up, if there is a vehicle that is traveling behind you, it will actually alert you that there is a vehicle in that blind spot as you're backing up. So it's a great feature if you're pulling out of a parking spot in a parking lot, you'll have that rear cross traffic alert. And that does come within that blind spot package from Mercedes-Benz. So of course we have a rear view camera monitoring system. It is then displayed in the 10.25 inch high capacitive touchscreen monitor that we'll cover as we get inside the cockpit of the VS30 here in a moment. What's unique about the rear view camera monitoring system within the Revel is that we actually have ultrasonic rear park assist. And so you've seen this on a lot of vehicles. You'll see different sensors that are in the rear. And as you're backing up, it's going to give you intervals of how close you are to that vehicle. Now, a lot of you that are out there in terms of the van life movement, you're very familiar with Illuminous, which is a custom accessory installer. And we work directly with Illuminous. We are an Illuminous factory authorized installer of all of their products. And we've done a lot of different versions of Illuminous. And we can still use the Illuminous accessories to the rear with the ultrasonic rear park assist. We just want to make sure that we do a real good job of educating that guest that that distance then is going to be slightly different because of the Illuminous accessories that we may be including on the rear. Did I miss anything on that?
No.
That you wanted to cover?
No. And Illuminous is all over this new chassis. They obviously are very interested in having all their products work with this, and they do. So that will continue to evolve as access to this chassis becomes more available.
And so Rhonda, now that I brought you to the rear, let's go to the front. I apologize for that. I should have done it in a different order. So another great safety enhancement that is on the nose of the Revel is we do have active headlamp controls with active high beam assist. Great feature when you're traveling at night. It's going to sense lights ahead of you from headlamps of other vehicles that are traveling towards you, and it will bring your high beams on and off automatically. If that's a feature that you don't like, you can also turn that off. Inside this area, right as you get just past me, sorry about that, 3 different sets of airbags. Obviously, we have the dual front airbags. We have the side curtain airbags. Mercedes Benz refers to those as window airbags off of their mattress. And then we also have the set that is built into the seat, which is going to be the thoracic pelvis airbag set. So 3 on each side for a total of 6 different airbags. Okay, last safety enhancement that we're going to cover, and then we can cover any questions. Heidi's favorite. This is Mercedes-Benz's wet wiper system, okay? And what this does is it has certain water jets that are literally built into the wiper arm that are heated. And so you get great even coverage as you're using your windshield washer setting for the windshield wiper system. You don't have a lot of extra debris that sprays all over your sheet metal or your side mirrors, but it's precision jets directly inside each of the wiper arms.
And it is amazing. I'm a simple person, and I'm truly impressed with it. It's just full, amazing coverage that's heated. I mean, it's just perfect.
So some great safety enhancements to the 3rd generation Mercedes Benz Sprinter VS30 chassis. Questions on safety enhancements?
Let's get through some questions. They might not be in the perfect order, but okay. For starters, Ron, can you move that incredibly heavy boulder so people can see the exhaust in the new running board cut?
You bet.
This will be very heavy for Ron.
Well, I won't make any dramatic movements or throw my back out, but I'll change the terrain here for people. A couple of changes that Winnebago did on the outside, we'll just jump ahead to those on the exterior, is we now have wider running boards. They're actually non-skid running boards, a wider track. You can see the Winnebago logo embossed in it. We have not only pet leash tie-outs, but also great safety anchors to tie up expensive bicycles. So those are on each end of the running boards on each side. Obviously, we have the undercarriage lighting and some additional lighting that's been added for the 2020 Revel. But what has been changed is this distance really wasn't that usable for the running board right through this location. And in order to provide that length of a running board, we actually had to modify the exhaust. So what we did is we just stopped the running board here, didn't have to modify the exhaust, but then what that provides is higher ground clearance for our users. So again, better ground clearance with the trim of the running board, but it is also wider. It provides great coverage front to rear. That's what you were looking for, wasn't it?
It was. And then just a few kind of miscellaneous questions on the exterior. Just wonder, I'm really taking you off track here, but wondering on the wheels, on the optional wheels,
yeah.
They were thinking they would be blacked out.
Yep, and they are. So this is the performance wheel upgrade. As in previous years, it brought you to a 17-inch wheel instead of the stock Mercedes 16-inch wheel. This is a new wheel, though, that we're using for 2020 in the Revel. This is a Method one-piece cast aluminum wheel. We still are using, which has been a great tire for us, but we're still using the BF Goodrich TAKO2 tires. So a very aggressive pattern on those tires. But the Method wheels, again, they're one-piece cast aluminum. They are blacked out with the exception of the rivets that are on the sides. The model number, if people are curious about that, it's the 701 wheel. It's a one-piece cast 356 aluminum wheel. Again, One of the unique things about it is it has Method's bead technology, bead grip technology. And what that allows you to do, it's a reinforced lip that's actually heat treated. But with the bead grip technology, it allows users to use those wheels at lower tire pressures. So as we all know, for outdoor enthusiasts, a lot of people will run at lower PSI or lower air pressures to get better traction. And with the Method 701 wheels, that bead grip technology allows us to do that without running into any air loss issues around the bead.
Scott is wondering, and many people are wondering, is there a spare tire?
Good question. So one of the things that Winnebago has always really taken a lot of pride in is compliance with RV regulations. One of the most abused industry regulations is occupants and cargo carrying capacity, and Winnebago has never hinged their values around occupants and cargo carrying capacity. So again, this coach has 1,669 pounds of occupants and cargo carrying capacity. To ensure that we were able to provide that amount of cargo carrying capacity, we did delete the spare tire. Now the carriage for it is still up underneath, so we can add that for you. But using voice of customer research that Winnebago does, we saw a lot of different customizations of that spare tire. I know Illuminous offers a spare tire carrier that a lot of our guests used. But if you want to use a stock 16-inch wheel, the carriage is still underneath, and we can provide that for you.
Do you know if brake assist can be turned off? As I leaf through the owner's manual.
I don't know if it can, but we can check when we get inside the vehicle settings.
Sounds good. Do you want to take a few exterior Winnebago questions? Can you review the roof rack?
I would love to. So let's just cover all of the Winnebago exterior enhancements. We covered the running boards, so that was a change that was made. We talked about the wheel change. Up top on the roof, as Heidi referred to, we now have an all-metal new roof rack system for storage, for a lot of different uses. We get a lot of questions if you can put kayaks atop the roof. Of course you can, but there are no plastic parts up there anymore that we ran into some issues with in previous years. But again, it's all metal. It still maintains the wind fairing up top. We've added additional lighting. And then to the rear, a great feature is we've added a lock to the detachment point for the rear ladder. This rear ladder, again, can be used almost 360 degrees around the coach, but we now have a keyed lock access for the ladder. So that was a change that was made with the all-steel roof rack, the lockable ladder to the outside. We talked about the running boards. Up top, with the optional rooftop air conditioner, it's a 13,500 BTU high-efficiency air conditioner. It is the new Coleman Mach NDQ, non-ducted quiet. So tests have shown that it's about 6 to 8 decibels quieter than previous rooftop air conditioners from Coleman Mach.
Question from Bay, can the ladder be moved to the driver's side rear door and add a bike rack to the rear passenger door?
To the driver's side where?
To the driver's side door, so flip the ladder to the left, and can you add a bike rack then? And that's probably...
We've done bike racks on the other side, and I know Illuminous has some solutions for that. In order to move the ladder so that it's used on the driver's side door, we would have to relocate the top and bottom struts.
Scott is also wondering, is the four-wheel drive shift on the fly between rear-wheel drive and four-wheel drive?
That's a good question. In previous years, you did have to become stationary, and I believe you still do.
Or very slow, I think, at a very low speed, I believe.
That's a good question. I wanted to validate that before we started. We literally just got this yesterday, so I apologize. But Scott, I think I might actually know who you are, but if you want to just chat in your email address, we'll shoot the answer to that question for you.
Great. And can you repeat fuel economy estimates with the new transmission?
Yeah, so there's a couple of good websites out there actually that survey millions of users. The Sprinter 2500s are estimated to achieve on average 18 miles per gallon highway. We've had some really big ranges in terms of reported on-the-road feedback from our guests, ranging from 16 to 22, and a lot of that's going to depend upon obviously your terrain. Mercedes is predicting about a 1 to 2% uptick in fuel economy. But what we're expecting on this in terms of what comes out is around 18 miles per gallon highway.
Can you review questions on the power sliding door? Is that standard?
Yep.
And then just a question about, can I stop it part way? I like to have airflow.
Yeah, so let's cover some outside things. Let's answer that question first, just to be respectful of that. There are a lot of interior creature comforts and aesthetic upgrades that we've come to expect. So the vehicle does have a powered sliding cargo door. You can turn that off manually, so it would never become power. And there is literally just a on-off right inside the door. But you can activate it from inside the door, on the dash, or also from this key fob. And you can actually stop it by using the key fob, by using the button, either inside the door or up just above the cup holders. But you can also stop it part way wherever you'd like. So a lot of people will be using this depending upon wind direction or just how much wind you want to come through the all-new roll-up screens that we're going to cover here in a moment. But again, you can stop it midway. Heaven forbid, if there is something that is in the way, it will actually sense the pressure and then retract the door automatically. Did I answer that question? Mm-hmm. Okay. So while we're outside, let's just wrap up on just a few exterior options that are now available. So this is the Iridium Silver. This is the full body base coat, clear coat, premium automotive finish from Mercedes Benz. This is one of the high metallic options, which is kind of the majority of what we've done in the past. It used to be called Brilliant Silver. It's now called Iridium Silver. We also have this available now in the Pebble Gray, which is what we offered in 2019. And then all new for 2020 will be the Blue Gray. And Blue Gray and Pebble Gray are non-metallic finishes. Both of those will be available in addition to the Iridium Silver.
And graphics on or off for each
graphics
color?
On or off. Everything that we stock is going to be stealth-like automotive. It's probably, help me out, directionally probably 90%.
A lot more. It's probably 98%, and then sometimes with the 1%, they're peeling them before they leave our lot.
Yeah, the graphics are not a high take rate, but we can do whatever the guest would like. If we have a vehicle that doesn't have them, we could order in the graphics package. We've seen a lot of different purposes of how people use the Revel, whether or not they're custom decals or we've seen complete full wraps. But most people like to keep these as automotive and stealth-like as possible, so to speak.
Lots of interest in the headlamps.
Yep. So that is actually where I was headed next. So the vehicle has the high-performance LED upgrade for the high-performance headlamps. We do still have fog lamps down below. New contemporary styling, obviously, with the cat eye headlamps. But you can always tell if a vehicle has that or not on a Sprinter chassis. It says right here, and it's embossed in the trim, LED high-performance headlamps. That is a standard feature. That's how Winnebago options those vehicles out. You can also see, Rhonda, if you want to zoom in on any of these are the front ultrasonic park sensors in the front bumper. And then also within that camera system is where we have the cameras for the adaptive cruise control.
Blacked out grille.
Was that a statement or a question?
It was a statement.
Oh, and an all-new blacked out grille with a Mercedes emblem. Did I cover everything you wanted on LED?
You did.
Okay. So a couple of changes underneath the hood. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we will in our walk-around video, but also with our educational orientation that is one of our most heavily watched videos that we have. Some nice changes, some changes that were made to the windshield washer fluid location, but most notably, the diesel exhaust fluid fill has been kind of clipped out of the front, also put on angle, and then right underneath here is where this ABS cladding is. So it's certainly resistant to any spills for adding the diesel exhaust fluid for the Mercedes diesel. Still using synthetic oil, recommending Mobil 1. Still have the same air intake from this side directly into the cabin and the same filter setup.
Can you review, because there has been a question, just kind of what our video playlist plan is for the coming week or whenever?
You bet.
Will you be doing more videos, Ron?
We're going to do a lot of videos. However, we can do whatever you'd like. One of the great things that we cover that I normally do in the beginning and fail to is we can do one-on-one live interactive presentations in the comfort of your own home or office with any of our factory trained consultants, whether it be here in studio, out on the lot, or out on the road. And Rhonda doesn't know this, but I told Heidi today, I think one of our great ideas that we're going to do is we're going to start to do some Revel on the road videos. So we're actually going to go on the road and show how active brake assist works, how adaptive cruise control works, and those types of things actually in a moving vehicle. So
how you could pair my phone.
How we could pair your phone.
How we could just out loud want to play Justin Timberlake.
We could, if you've got that feeling.
But, and then I think we'll do more in-depth MBUX.
Yep.
And just in general dash functionality.
Yep. So we're going to cover some of the interior upgrades now to the VS30 chassis. But again, like Heidi mentioned, we do already have the content made to do the complete walkthrough of the MBUX Mercedes Benz user experience multimedia setup inside. How are we doing on questions?
Good. I think I have a lot of interior questions. So if we could cover the changes there,
okay.
And then definitely
okay.
the front. Lots of questions about this screen situation.
Yeah, so let's cover Winnebago's interior enhancements, and then we'll cover some things that are just all new and unique. So the first is we've now partnered with Roleff, which is a Canadian company that provides screens to camper van manufacturers and users that are out on the road. One of the great things about the Roleff screen system is that there aren't any gaps. So we're not going to have bugs penetrating. One of the great things about it is you can customize the fit of where you want certain air to penetrate your vehicle. When this is brought down and zipped into place, as you can see when this is set up as an open door, then you can still quickly get in and out with the magnetics without having to zip and unzip literally every time you enter or exit the vehicle. And you're really wanting me to drop this all the way down, aren't you?
So this side is complete sheer, but very tight, and it still gets great air in, great light in, but keeps bugs out, and it's just such a tight fit. And like Ron said, the coolest thing is that magnetic entrance. That vertical magnet really just lets you jump in and out without having to unzip. There's also an additional flap that can come across around the bottom if you have a dog that's figured out how to get through the magnetic flap, and you can kind of stop them from doing that. But in the back, it is also that same sheer fabric, but then there's also a blackout screen that zips up much like a nice tent would, so it eliminates the need for shades back there. Yeah, so it's totally opaque, complete privacy to the rear, obviously just the sheer on the inside, because when the sliding door closes, then we have the Sights dual pane acrylic windows with the top bottom shades for opaque privacy out towards your patio side. So while we're right here and we're showcasing this roll-up screen, this entry assist handle has been completely redone by Winnebago, and actually it's a ram mount system. So there's a couple of different things you can do with this. There is a workstation or a cocktail table attachment that can be placed in here so that it can be used for the passenger, but also any of the attachments that we use with the ram mount system. We've covered that in a lot of our previous videos for the 18 and 19 Revel. Whether they're used inside can be used in this entry assist handle that also then features the ram fast mount system. Also, while we're right here, we have also changed how easy this is to use the pedestal table for the outside table. You can see it's kind of like a horizontal rectangular style pin that literally goes in and also just kind of sucks itself down, so it's a lot easier to use in terms of the outdoor patio table. But then also keep in mind the cutouts for the roll-lift screens.
So you can use the patio table but not have to worry about it penetrating a screen door.
And really, like, it'll go on in kind of 2 twists versus, what, 20 maybe on the old one?
Yeah, it almost just kind of sucks itself down. So we'll cover this in our walk around video on the vehicle, but the other thing that has changed on the inside is Winnebago has brought in the digital thermostat control for the S-Bar hydronic heating system. And that is going to be right inside your control panel. So again, the S-Bar hydronic heating system provides on-demand hot water and is your primary heat source for the vehicle. Works great, it's extremely efficient, uses approximately 0.07 gallons of diesel fuel per hour, and will run almost 300 hours or something crazy like that off of the top 3/4 of the main diesel tank. So the thermostat control for the S-Bar heater now is digital. It's provided by Rixons, which is actually the company that reps that German-built Eberspacher S-Bar D5 heating system. Way more than you wanted to know, wasn't it? And then we'll bring it around to the rear, Rhonda. Inside the vehicle towards the rear, again with the 140 cubic foot gear garage, we've added additional under bed lighting. And what's great about that, again, using voice of customer research with Winnebago Industries, they found that when that bed was brought up, it would block out the lights, obviously, up top. So we've added 2 additional LED lights that are wall controlled underneath that powered studio loft bed. So again, in this area, it's a 140 cubic foot gear garage, but great lighting now at night when that powered studio loft bed is in the up position, or even if you're grabbing going items underneath.
And that was, I'm going to speak out of turn here, but I think that really was the only change in the back, were the lights.
I'm just running you ragged, aren't I? Should we go inside?
Yep.
So some great storage now that's placed in the overhead headliner right above the cockpit seats. So you can see this steel shelf integrated directly into the overhead area here. So it only takes one head knocker to realize that it's there, but you've got all of this incremental storage now that is overhead. And then you also have the Mercedes provided storage overhead in this location. How about inside, Heidi? Any questions?
Just
before
what
we
the
jump in
seats
the front?
are. What are the seats?
Yeah, so because we have thoracic pelvis airbags built into the seats, this is synthetic leather. This is Artico leather that Mercedes Benz uses overseas, and it's extremely weather temperative, very comfortable. It has kind of a grain appearance that you'll see in our photos and videos that Rhonda has done recently. Very comfortable seats, but again, this is the Artico synthetic leather. We do use that because of the additional airbags that are in the seats. So this is probably a pretty good location, Rhonda. Some nice enhancements here to the front seats. Very easy to swivel. Really common sense, intuitive locations to bring the seats forward and back. This is the swivel mechanism. You can also see here, this is a kind of what I would call kind of a thigh point adjuster. And this will slide forward and back. So if you have 34-inch inseams or deeper thighs, you're not going to have it kind of fall asleep on you inside there. And then 4-position powered lumbar controls, armrests, and adjustable seat heights.
So can you review, because that's a question that we've got on here.
Yep.
Are these powered seats, and are they heated seats?
Yep, these are not powered seats, and they are not heated, and there are no plans to change that in the 4x4 cargo van version. Yep. Any other questions before we jump into the MBUX?
That's where most of my questions lie.
All right, cool. So Rhonda, if you would like to join me inside, and I see help is on the way so that you can go on location. Okay, so a couple of things that the vehicle has that is new. There is no key to the vehicle. It is keyless entry, as well as one-touch start. You actually can see the fob here that I have. Actually, within the key fob itself, if you press this button, you can actually see the key underneath. But literally, you use this button to start and stop the engine. Once it senses that the key fob is in the proximity of the vehicle. You okay right there? You like that better? Well, ask our viewers if they like it better. Okay, some cool things that, as you guys know, I'm kind of a gadget geek. Some of the things that I think are really awesome about this vehicle is up front here, right after you zoomed into the MBUX, wasn't it? Wireless charging for your smartphone is included overhead. And then you can also see there is a USB-C style cable as well as USB inputs. That's used so that we can pair up and use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So you've got the capability of using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but the MBUX inside already has a lot of those same features, including navigation, Sirius XM, and that type of thing. So we'll cover that here in a moment. How am I doing so far?
Good, I'll jump in.
Okay, so tilt and telescoping steering within the steering column, leather wrapped steering wheel. I'm going to come back to these gauges because there's some unique things within the gauges that are on the redundant thumb controls. There is a carbon fiber instrument panel applique that runs throughout the entire vehicle. So on the side columns on each of the side doors, for the powered windows, powered defrost, piggyback mirrors that will collapse against the sidewall. So that's the carbon fiber instrument panel applique. You can run this like a clutchless manual transmission. So there are controls here to run this like a clutchless manual transmission for the paddle controls on the back side here. You'll notice there is no gear shift select lever. So there's nothing up top here, nothing in this location, just an incredible amount of legroom. Hope, what am I, about a 32-inch inseam? I've got plenty of legroom. Again, there's nothing in this location to impair that trimline console, because it literally is just right here on what would be kind of like a turn signal column or the ability to use a windshield wiper. Windshield wipers are on this side. Again, that's the wet wiper system. Here is where you can go from reverse to drive to neutral to park. So this is where you'll start and stop the engine. To start the vehicle, obviously you have to have your foot on the brake, so I'm just going to go ahead and engage the MBUX. Again, the MBUX literally stands for Mercedes Benz User Experience. Just some wonderful intuitive controls within the cluster here. We talked about this, and you'll see this in some of our future videos. But this is where you'll see the traffic sign assist. It'll tell you what the speed limit is. It'll also then tell you what speed you're using adaptive or distronic cruise control. In addition to that, it'll tell you not only the pressure in your tires, but the temperature of your tires. And you can recalibrate those. It provides some great separation of terms of what vehicle you're following, and it'll showcase what your set cruise control is and what speed you're actually traveling at. Has a clock and an outdoor temperature gauge, actually in both locations, here and then also inside the middle of the MBUX.
It will also show def range, def tank level, diesel particulate filter information.
Yeah, great stuff. So this is a leather wrapped steering wheel. We're going to cover some of these gauges here in a moment, but let's just slide over to the 10.25 inch MBUX setup. So this is a capacitive touchscreen monitor. So it literally was designed after the feel of a tablet, whether it be an iPad or an Android tablet. But literally you can swipe from side to side into any of these different apps that you have. You can also rearrange what apps you'd like to have as a preset or what your favorites are. In addition to that, you can swipe using these controls on your steering wheel. You can also get back to your home and control everything from the steering wheel in addition to reaching over to control things on the MBUX.
And it's Hey Mercedes functionality. And can you just talk briefly about subscription or the setup for that?
You bet. So the Hey Mercedes is unique to the Mercedes Benz setup in the MBUX, Mercedes Benz user experience. But that literally is just tying into the artificial intelligence. So for right now, I have my phone paired up, but it really controls all the different features of the vehicle using voice control. So for example, yesterday.
What would you like to do?
Hey Mercedes, call Hope Lichtsinn. Is my phone over there? I think my phone's out of range. Would you mind grabbing it?
Oh, sure.
So anyway, the Hey Mercedes artificial intelligence allows you to do things such as changing audio, getting voice navigation, hands-free calling, and it's just very intuitive. But not only that, it learns a lot of things about you. So if you're asking the vehicle to find you a coffee station, for example, if you frequently travel to Starbucks vehicle or Starbucks locations, it's going to bring those up as a preference. So it begins to learn a lot about you, and you can use that within the navigation. So you can see my phone's paired up here. You can use it for hands-free calling. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help you?
Call Hope Lichtsinn.
Calling Lichtsinn. Hope on the mobile phone.
See, and that's
Hey
what you all do.
Mercedes doesn't say it right either.
No, nobody says our name right. So you can hang up actually on the MBUX. You could also then use the quick phone icons that are right here at your thumb control on the right-hand side of the steering column. Sirius XM satellite radio is included. It does come with a free trial. It has high definition FM radio, AM radio, multimedia that will tie into either Bluetooth hands-free or pulling off of a USB. But then also you can have the capability of using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay.
Do you have to manually do map updates?
So map updates are free for a certain amount of time.
3 years.
I'm sorry?
3 years.
So they're free for 3 years, and then after that you would actually do the pay subscription. You can control that actually through the Wi-Fi that is built into the vehicle if you subscribe to it, or you can connect the vehicle to another Wi-Fi hotspot. So for example, Hope and I, we both have a vehicle that connects to Wi-Fi on the spot. You can do upgrades that way. So you can actually do them through the head unit. There's no secure digital card that you have to pull, plug into a computer. You literally can just do it through wireless connections. So speaking of Wi-Fi, the vehicle does have Wi-Fi on board. We get this question a lot. And it is mounted inside the cockpit. The only downside to it is that it is only aligned with AT&T, so it's not aligned with Verizon. It is a permanently mounted SIM card, which then forces you to have another subscription. So obviously with the RV lifestyle and the camper van lifestyle, most van lifers, what they'll do is they'll use a mobile hotspot off of their smartphone, or we do a lot of the Winegard Connect 2.0 or WeBoost 4G LTE booster services, or the Wi-Fi enhancements through the Winegard Connect. So we've got a great live interactive presentation, similar to what we did here on connectivity enhancements. So I think we're going to find most people are going to go that route because of the boosting capability and the efficiency of tying it into their existing data plan.
I have a slew of questions if you're comfortable there, or
Really
are you good there? Okay.
How about you, Rhonda?
Are we able to show the handbrake? It's,
Sure.
I believe, the same.
It is. So it's engaged right now. Just push it back down, and then that allows you to swivel the seat. So it has a foldable.
Are there any speakers in the back coach portion?
No, there are not. So the main cockpit has the audio visual in it. We can do Bluetooth soundbar upgrades. or really anything to tie that into the rear. So if you're using a RAM mount track for your iPad or your iPhone or any type of a tablet, you can then Bluetooth that into a very high quality Bose soundbar for 190 bucks. So there's a lot of different ways you can skin that cat, but you can also tie it into the front head unit if you'd like. But great question.
So obviously a lot of Sprinter changes that we've covered.
Yep.
Just could you summarize, this is a good quiz for you, like just the Winnebago Revel changes across the board?
Yeah, so on the outside we talked about the all steel cargo rack. We talked about the wider running boards. We shortened one of the running boards so that we didn't have to do an exhaust modification, which then provided for higher ground clearance. On the inside, we added the roll of screens from the Canadian supplier, great partner. We have the digital thermostat for the Rixson thermostat for the S-bar heater. We have the change to the patio table, lights under the bed, and then this overhead shelf.
And a lock on the ladder.
And a lock on the ladder, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there a price increase?
There is. The price increase was predominantly VS30 related, runs about 10 grand.
Remote start?
Not remote start, but keyless entry, wireless key fob, and one touch start. Great question.
Okay, can the doors be unlocked from the outside while the key fob is within the vehicle? So
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So they run independently as long as one of the key fobs is inside the vehicle. You can start and drive the vehicle, but you can have another key fob outside. So in theory, I think maybe what they're after is, could I leave one inside? You can. The downside of my vehicle is that when I get out, it won't allow me to lock the vehicle. So I would have to manually do that, which is kind of a pain. So I just go in and out with it.
Robert is wondering, what are the options for running the air conditioner when you're not on shore power?
Yeah, so a couple of different ways for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And I appreciate that question because it allows us to talk just real briefly about the fact that the vehicle does have automatic climate control. Again, that's Mercedes Benz provided, which is up in the cockpit. One of the options, one of three options from Winnebago Industries is the rooftop air conditioner. And that does require shoreline power. So if you were to use shoreline power for that, you can actually either be plugged in or you could use a generator. A portable generator, which is a lot of people carry in their generator box or their aluminous upgrade to the rear. You can use a 2,000 watt inverter on the generator. You can use a 2,000 watt generator. However, you do need to have us install an Easy Start soft start, which does provide a warranty that marries up to the Coleman Mach warranty. We covered that in a previous video, so we've got that link in our playlist. But if you don't want to use the Easy Start, I believe it requires around 26 to 2,800 watts of generator power to start that back up from the surge from kicking on the air conditioner right away. The downside to that is that generator then gets a lot heavier and also a lot larger. So what is really pretty common in the industry is either a Honda or a Yamaha 2,000 watt generator. They're very lightweight. They're very efficient. They're whisper quiet, but with an Easy Start, you can run the air off of that.
I'm going to ask you the first question we got in our webcast from
Okay.
Revel Rookie.
Yep.
Does Lichtsinn stock a plug-and-play solar panel to the ZAMP side port on the Revel? What's the watt rating and price?
Yeah, so, and again, we'll cover this in the walk-around video. I'll cover it right now. It's also in last year's, because that hasn't changed. We have 3 absorbed glass mat AGM Group 31 RV batteries, so 315 amp hours coming out of those 3 batteries. What replenish those is anytime the vehicle is in transit off of the alternator from the Sprinter VS30, anytime you're plugged in, but then also from the ZAMP solar that is up top. We have 200 watts of ZAMP solar, which is standard. It's expandable up to approximately 510 watts. We do have a quick port that you can plug in a portable panel. And to answer that question, we have a 140 watt portable panel that you can articulate basically right in line with the sun to get maximum solar. 140 watt panel is around $700. And then that just plug and plays.
And he had much more to his question. I think he should call our parts department to talk through.
You bet. You bet.
Is there more clearance underneath because of the exhaust change?
There is more clearance at that location.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm scrolling through just to make sure.
No, that's great. We don't want to miss a question because that's what we're doing this for.
Can they still get a spare tire? Obviously.
We can provide a spare tire, you bet. Just keep in mind that is going to erode your occupant and cargo carrying capacity, so you want to be compliant with the rules and regulations in which you're traveling. So if you carry kind of a light load or lighter passengers or fewer passengers, I should say, it's probably a more politically correct way to say it, we could add the spare tire up underneath because the rack is still there. We found a lot of people were using racks on the rear, but then also to free up that cargo carrying capacity, Winnebago decided to delete the spare, but the actual chassis frame is still there for the spare tire.
Perfect.
And then just keep in mind that is a 16-inch wheel as opposed to a blended or matched 17-inch performance wheel.
A question about the S-Bar, you know, just with, do we still experience those same issues? Have those been corrected?
You know, we obviously had a few, I wouldn't call them startup issues, but we had a few warranty claims, obviously, with the startup of any product back in 2018. But we really do not have any S-Bar issues moving forward. A lot of those have been either rectified or were so unique that it allowed not only S-Bar and Rixons to learn, but also for us to adapt that type of use, whether it be altitude or cold level or that type of thing.
How would you say that audio sound system compares to prior model years?
I think it's incredible. When Heidi and I drove this yesterday, whisper quiet inside, very smooth, quiet transmission, no rattles in the rear that we could hear, was easy to communicate with Hey Mercedes, and then also the sound quality, and we were listening to Sirius XM, was outstanding.
Mike on our YouTube channel is just, I should have asked this before, but back to the S-Bar, is there any change in terms of the serviceability of that, i.e. can you remove it for service without disconnecting coolant lines? That might be a good question for our service department.
You know, it's probably a better question for Brian, Anders, or Justin. They're all master certified technicians, and in this case, there are consultants and service director, but the servicing hasn't changed with the S-Bar system.
Question on batteries.
Yep.
Are they lithium? Are they AGM? Are they standard flooded?
Yep, so they are 3 absorbed glass mat AGM Group 31 batteries, 105 amp hours per battery, so 315 total.
2 questions left.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but to touch, and I did, I apologize, is a better way to say it. So one thing you got to remember when we have batteries that are exposed on the outside of a camper van like this, if they're exposed like that, they're protected, but they're also subject to the cold. So to go to lithium, we would want to somehow encase those.
I have 3 questions left. Now that you interrupted me,
No,
I
it's
added
fine.
one. Does it have 360 view?
360 camera. It does not have a 360 camera. It has front and rear park assist with the rear view camera.
When are we doing a walk around video?
Well, Rhonda's done it. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda did it today.
Well, when are we doing the voiceover and publishing it?
Well, it depends. If we get a lot of rain this weekend, it'll be done over the weekend. Otherwise, it'll be early next week.
And then this is a good one. What is the maximum horizontal tilt angle of the Revel before it flips? Maybe this is our next video idea. Trying to get an idea of how off the path.
To research it or to flip it? Because I think I'd prefer to just research it.
Let's research it.
Okay, we'll just research it. But that's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it, and we will have to research it. If you'd like to chat in your email address, we can get back to you that way, or just call into the store and we can research it.
And then back to, we do
like
have
that
an
was a
email
setup
address
question.
now about our 4-wheel drive question that
Yep.
we'll get out.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to do a deep dive here of the MBUX actually in a separate video. If there are certain things that anybody would like to see within the MBUX, just chat in your questions here. Heidi, we've gone about an hour. Have we covered what we thought guests were interested in for now, or should we cover additional things?
I think we did. I think you accomplished everything you wanted to.
And setting the timetable for a commitment on the walk-around video.
Right.
So great questions today, and we want to thank everyone for joining us as we broadcast live today in our marketing studio here at Lichtsinn RV. We literally are only 1 mile north of the Winnebago factory here in Forest City, Iowa. Again, this is the 2020 Winnebago Revel. It is on the 3rd generation Mercedes Benz VS30 chassis. You know, really just keeping in mind that we're going to be one of only a couple of dealers that really have that tremendous amount of supply and can provide that expertise with our master certified technicians that have done the SBAR training. They have done all of the training that we can really absorb, because we're really just kind of product training and knowledge junkies here at the dealership. So, you know, not only that, we're an Illuminous authorized installer. So we have great expertise in the way people are using these. We can really provide you some great testimonials for however many Revels in different areas of the way people are using these. And I know a couple of our sales consultants that have done really, really well in the van life movement, whether it's Reed Burkholder or Nicole Fulman or Stacy Anderson or Nicole Lovick Blazer or Henry Stone, you know, Abby Duriger. All these guys have so many different revelers that are out on the road, and really we can provide you some great partnerships in terms of the way people are using these.
Abby's married now.
Did I say her? Well, that's
Neiman.
good. People can't stalk her then. So we can really provide some great expertise, and we're gonna be one of those key dealers that has the supply and can meet those time frames. Like I said, we have about 30 of these that are already slotted for delivery here in the next 30 to 90 days. So we have those slots, and we can provide you the commitments on delivery. So we're gonna have the inventory for you. Again, if there are certain things that you want to see specifically after this, we can do a live one-on-one interactive presentation from the comfort of your own home or office with any of our factory trained consultants here at Lichtsinn RV. We can plug in a partner or a spouse that's in a different location and have just, you know, a great experience of showcasing the things that are important to you. What did I miss?
Nothing.
Any lingering questions that you want me to blast through?
I think you should cover, we had a good question just come in from MPC. From the date of commitment,
Yep.
when can we deliver a Revel?
From the date of commitment, so if you wanted one of our earlier slots, which there is obviously a premium for in terms of pricing, that would be within the next really 30 to 45 days. Otherwise, depending upon what price point we agreed to, it would be later in the late summer or fall.
Great.
Awesome. So Rhonda, thank you. Maggie, thank you. Hope and Heidi, thank you for moderating chat today. And again, thank you to everyone joining us today as we debuted the first Revel to hit dealerships in North America for the 2020 model year atop the 3rd generation Mercedes Benz VS30 chassis. So again, chat in any questions. If you have additional questions, we actually chat. I did it again. We staff our chat with true Lichtsinn RV team members during normal business hours, so they're the same people that you would deal with over the phone. And so as we wrap up, I'm just going to continue to scan through the MBUX. And again, thank you for joining us here at Lichtsinn RV.